Lou Bridges and Associates. I'm going to talk in a very short section about audits. Now, audits are the key. We started using these audits almost 3 years ago now, and we've been working with the auditors in developing the format and the content and the sources of information and the presentation of the findings. But the audits are the key. Audits are the key to defending a foreclosure action, even if there's no foreclosure action pending, to forcing the bank to negotiate a restructuring of the mortgage if you're underwater, or doing a strategic default. You need to have an audit before you do a strategic default so that you're not just a deadbeat. I'm doing a strategic default. I'm underwater, and I have an audit that says that there was a lot of violations of state and federal law committed by the originator of this loan. Now, I want to negotiate a restructuring of this to make it a fair loan, reflective of the current fair market value. What is an audit? There are 3 types of audits that we used. The first is the forensic audit. The forensic audit examines all the documents associated with the solicitation, origination, application, processing of the application, closing, and servicing of the loan. These audits generally find any mortgage that was originated between 1998 and 2008, or even thereafter. These audits will find and document for me, the attorney, that I can present in court the evidence, the documentary and the corroborated, proven evidence that there was violations of state and federal law and regulation committed by the originator in the origination of the loan. Misrepresentations, false information that was provided, outright lies, changes in the documents, omissions of information that is required to be disclosed by those who originate mortgages, sell money, and violations in the servicing, unlawful charges, proceeding to foreclosure, with no consideration for a pending loan modification application, and other violations. These provide me the basis upon which I can plead, that is, assert motions and in pleadings affirmative defenses, and oppose any motion for summary judgment. The forensic audits are very important. The second types of audits are maybe even more important, the securitization audit. Now, these are the ones that we really have made some advances in the last 6 months, quite frankly. The auditors we use have obtained access to sources of information by obtaining access to the MERS databank and the Blomberg terminal. This provides us the information to show that there were gaps in the chain of title. Most mortgages that were originated between 1998 and 2008 were securitized. Securitization involves a number of transfers of the mortgage. By looking at the MERS database and looking at the documents on file with the New York Stock Exchange, we find that the mortgage was not placed into the trust in the appropriate time that's required under the trust law and the trust law of the state and the trust documents and Securities and Exchange Commission regulations. The mortgage was not properly transferred. It was not properly transferred in accordance with our State Conveyances Act, Recorders Act, and Notary Act. That there are gaps in the chain of title. That there are improper assignments, and most importantly, the robo-signing. The audits provide us the data from which we can show that the affidavits that are submitted in support of the purported, supposed assignments are false. They were robo-signed, because we now have a data bank of the robo-signers, and it's growing every day. Every securitization audit that I've seen now in the last 6 months has provided me ample defenses to plead, and quite frankly, even counterclaims. We can now start filing counterclaims, because if the bank that's suing to foreclose doesn't have an interest in that mortgage, and they've sued to foreclose, they've damaged your credit rating unlawfully. That's a violation of the Fair Debt Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Debt Credit Collection Act, and arguably the Consumer Fraud Act as well. So, securitization audit provides us ample grounds. These audits cost about $1,000, and we can get a group for the 3 of them. The third audit, by the way, is the appraisal audit. The appraisal audit provides what we already knew, is that the appraiser was working in cahoots with the originator of the loan, who was getting a tremendous incentive from the Wall Street investment banks and those who were putting together the mortgage, but the appraiser inflated the appraisal. That's what led to a 131% increase in the value of American real estate from 1998 to 2008, was these inflated appraisals that kind of fed on themselves after a while. And the appraisers committed, under what the legal terms are, they committed misfeasance, negligence, they committed malfeasance. They actually just went out to get an appraisal of a certain amount so the loan would be approved in that amount. And most importantly, the appraisers failed to disclose an inherent conflict of interest that they have, which is a violation of the Illinois Appraisers Licensing Act. So the appraisal audit, we can show the appraisal audit by going back and checking comparable sales about the time that your home was appraised, that show that the appraisal was manipulated, was overstated, was gerrymandered, would be another way to put it. We have been going into all in greater detail of these consultation. I urge you to call us for a free consultation, and we can go into all of this and answer all your questions in greater detail. But just remember this, the audits are the key. And any lawyer that you might talk to who says they know residential foreclosure, ask them about audits, because it's all about the audits. That's the evidentiary basis I have to defend a foreclosure action, file a counterclaim, file affirmative defenses, and force the bank to settle by restructuring your mortgage.